There it is. Perfect. Right on schedule. Okay, admitting the delegates now. All right, welcome delegates. All right, so we're going to get started right away here to stay on schedule. So my name is Paige. I'll be moderating the conversation here today, moderating the presentation. And yeah, we'll get started with a quick speech and then we'll jump right into the presentation. So first of all, just want to welcome everyone to the JDC West 2022 Business Strategy Case Presentation. Huge thank you to our judges for being here today. Karen Fonseth, Lorianne Dewick, Theo Martin, Nicole Stewart, and Radhi Desai. So competitors, as you know, you will have a maximum of 20 minutes to present your presentation. And immediately following that presentation, judges will have a total of 5 minutes to ask the presenters questions. And I'll be moderating that through the raise hand function in Zoom. Competitors, you will see Zoom chat notifications at various intervals to indicate the remaining time left in the presentation. And any speaker who continues to speak after that maximum time limit will be stopped. No questions or comments will be permitted from the audience, and all judges are asked to have their microphones off during the presentation. The audience is also banned from any material or naming convention that bears the name or symbol of a competing university. We also ask that the audience leave the Zoom call immediately following the presentation, and judges can stay on the call until I advise you to go to the next call. So with that, presenters, you may begin to share your screen, and whenever you begin speaking, I will begin the presentation time. So whenever you're ready.
Pop this chat out so I can see the timing cues. Wonderful. So before we begin today, we would like to acknowledge with respect that JDC West 2022 is gathered on ancestral lands on Treaty 1 territory. These lands are the heartland of the Métis people, and we acknowledge that Winnipeg's water is sourced from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation. Business ethics is incredibly important for companies of all kinds to upkeep. But as a family-run business with passion for what you do, ethics and sustainability should be the first things to be considered when changes need to be made. Hi, I'm Kate, and I'm here with my colleagues Cameron and Sophia from Elite Consulting to speak to you today about the dilemma the Rolling Homes is currently facing and how they should move forward to ensure success in 2022. With an upcoming investor meeting, the Rolling Homes is facing a dilemma on what to prioritize in 2022. Their three main options are fixing what was pointed out by the B Corp, accepting the campsite proposal, or focusing on the media engagement as well as the community opportunities. The three main considerations the Rolling Homes are currently facing are the B Corp rejection, the upcoming investor meeting that the DeLucas will be attending, and the priority options that have been presented to the company. So looking at the first problem we've identified in regards to the B Corp certification, the unethical supply chain is what really drove the rejection. Forced labor practices found in the supply chain are creating a major roadblock for the Rolling Homes journey to becoming B Corp certified, and this needs to be resolved in order to get there. The second issue is that there's some realignment needed when it comes to community and environmental needs. The Rolling Homes' current practices don't really align with the community and environmentally conscious values they uphold, and shifting these would be a big game changer for them. The third issue is that the vehicle conversion operations do not meet the B Corp standards, and this has a lot to do with the waste associated with the conversion, as well as the production overall that just isn't qualified enough, and this will be discussed more in depth later.
To understand these problems better, we have conducted a strategic 5C analysis to better understand where the Rolling Homes is currently situated as a business. So one of the business's weaknesses is that it's currently not displaying a clear strategic strategy. However, the family-operated business has a people-first mentality that will support their key strength being the focus on environmental and social governance. In terms of collaborators, the Rolling Homes is experiencing several issues within their supply chain. They have no control mechanism in place with which they can check up on their supply chain standards and keep suppliers accountable. The key takeaway in this section is that it's therefore supplied by several companies with unethical labor practices. These practices within the supply chain are displayed in this graphic. As mentioned, there is a lack of oversight from the Rolling Homes, causing a lack of ethical protections in the order process and also high emission deliveries for the products. The competitive landscape is mainly made up by local competition, for which the Rolling Homes price point currently is highly competitive. The main point here being that the company can further differentiate itself by following a strong sustainable path towards more ethical operations. The emerging market of innovative living is showing a trend towards a more environmentally friendly options. The climate also shows that there is a high growth amongst players with relatively low barriers to entry, making it a very attractive market for new competitors and a competitive advantage for each player in that market crucial. And the business's target market is made up of 50% adventurers, 30% retirees, and 20% environmentalists. This means that there is an opportunity to tap into a new customer segment and expand existing ones, especially with the possibility of the new campsite proposal.
So having discussed the strategic situation, let's now move into available alternatives for the rolling homes to pursue. The first alternative would be to accept the $500,000 offer for a sustainable campsite opportunity. While this is an interesting proposal, the opportunity has an inherently slim profit margin of only around $20,000 and will require a dedicated staff member going forward. This option would also be the most difficult strategy to scale, as managing campsites is not really within the company's wheelhouse of skills. Most worryingly, the strategy does nothing to address the forced labor issues identified, making it an unsatisfactory solution. The second alternative identified was a heightened focus on social media, alongside a push for community living efforts. While this alternative moves more towards a socially conscious business model, this option lacks a firm direction and cohesive strategy for the future of the business, which will in turn make it difficult to market to venture capitalists and other investors. Once again, this alternative does not address the ethical issues found within the supply chain, combining with the other issues to make it an unviable alternative. So our third and preferred alternative would be to transform the rolling homes into a social enterprise. This strategy would tackle the ethical supply issues head on, eliminating forced labor from the supply chain. Additionally, this strategy would focus on switching to more sustainable production methods to reduce the ecological impact and further align with the B Corp's environmental standards. This strategy would also focus on directly benefiting local communities by working with municipal governments and civil societies to provide housing for low-income and homeless demographics. Finally, the strategy will provide a roadmap to investors in time for the Share Investor Summit in March and will prove attractive by directly addressing sustainability and social issues. To bolster our qualitative analysis, we also attempted to quantify the decision factors facing the rolling homes to identify the best approach. By weighting and scoring each alternative based on the factors of business ethics, sustainability, community benefits, costs, and scalability, we again determined that the social enterprise would be the best course of action for the rolling homes in 2022. Moving into our recommendation now, we identified three main steps in transitioning the rolling homes into a sustainable business model. The company must reorganize the supply chain to address the current ethical concerns, eliminating forced labor. Following this step, the rolling homes must incorporate more sustainable methods into its production line, including better waste management methods. Finally, the rolling homes needs a strategy to contribute back to local communities in order to fulfill its purpose as a social enterprise and obtain the B Corp certification.
So in order to ensure a successful transition to that proposed business model, we have developed values, a vision, and a mission for the new social enterprise, the rolling homes. The key pillars of the values being nature and community, upkeeping the ethical standards in the supply chain, and advocating passionate adventure to their customers. The mission being that the Rolling Homes is a family-owned and operated social enterprise that uses ethically produced tiny homes and camper conversions as a solution for those who could otherwise not attain a comparable home and or look for a more sustainable and flexible way of living. We are also committed to providing this as a solution to those who cannot afford a home to really hone in combating homelessness. And the goal of the vision is to offer an innovative way of sustainable and affordable living to a wide variety of people who seek a more environmentally friendly and adventurous high-quality home. Implementing these strategic pillars to become the social enterprise as suggested, this business model that we've created will tie in the strategic direction with actionable aspects for the rolling homes. So what will the social enterprise do to create value? Ultimately, the business provides an innovative and sustainable way of housing, as mentioned, that is affordable and ensures that high ethical standards are upheld in the supply chain. In order to contribute to the community as well, the rolling homes will support combating homelessness. how they would do that is to reorganize the supply chain into a more locally provided services, which therefore will also reduce waste in the production process, while they were partnering with NGOs, MPOs, and other organizations to reinvest the community and support combating homelessness projects. In terms of the revenue model, most of the revenue came from sales in 2021, making it up to $1 million in revenues in 2021. Furthermore, there is that opportunity of investments from venture capitalists. And what impact investors and venture capitalists look for in companies is a competitive advantage, and they look for financially viable businesses that have a clear, defined, and above all, measurable social and environmental outcome, which fully aligns with the new strategy that we are proposing for the rolling homes. Furthermore, there are government grants available, for example, provincial grants like the grants to British Columbia nonprofits, businesses, and Indigenous organizations to build financial resilience, or the Canada-wide program, the Community Capacity and Innovation Stream of Reaching Home, Canada's homelessness strategy, offering streams of cash to projects combating homelessness.
So now moving into implementation, let's go back to the supply chain we identified earlier. The rolling homes need to move from a supply chain based on foreign suppliers to one focused on local suppliers. This move to local suppliers will greatly increase the overall transparency of supplier operations. Local suppliers will have to comply with North American regulations, providing a stronger ethical baseline for these suppliers. Moreover, relying more locally will decrease carbon emissions from delivery distances, improving the company's environmental balance sheet overall. In summary, there will be a much greater opportunity for supply chain oversight from the rolling homes, as geographical proximity and stronger ethical regulations will enable strong ethical practices across the entire supply chain. So to help identify potential local suppliers, we have provided some criteria to look for in a potential partner. These include ethical labor criteria, sustainable criteria, and accountability criteria, which we will leave for your consideration. Moving to this new supply chain will have several benefits that will directly benefit the company and help achieve a B Corp certification. The first of these will be worker benefits. Forced labor will be eliminated from the supply chain, and evaluating and choosing local suppliers will ensure safer working conditions and promote fair pay within supplier companies. Going local will also benefit local communities, providing a tangible positive impact in the area. The supply chain switch will also have several environmental benefits for the rolling homes. Emissions from transportation will be reduced, and materials will be more sustainably sourced. Locally based businesses will have stronger environmental regulations in place and improve waste management methods that will bolster the rolling homes' overall sustainability. Finally, the move to local suppliers will greatly enhance the rolling homes' overall governance. Local suppliers will share regulatory requirements, will be geographically accessible, and are more likely to share the rolling homes' values regarding sustainability and social impact. Overall accountability for the rolling homes supply chain will be made much easier under this new system. The next step we identified to sustainability for the company will be conducting a system of waste audits. The company should research waste auditors across Canada to determine a viable partner. A strong contender we identified is Waste Solutions, which offers discounted services to small and medium-sized enterprises such as the rolling homes. The company must then monitor the outcomes of this partnership to identify key areas for improvement in its waste management, and then incorporate these improvements into its waste management system to improve its overall sustainability and achieve the B Corp certification it seeks. Moving on to financial considerations, we use Bob Willard's business case for sustainability as a model for the planned social enterprise approach. This model suggests that increased costs in the short run are offset by long-term benefits to revenue and cost reductions under this approach. Switching to a sustainable business model also leads to reduced turnover and higher employee productivity. Most importantly, the drive towards sustainability creates greater value for the customer that can then be translated into an increase in price. Applying this model to the rolling homes, we acknowledge that the drive towards sustainability will likely result in increased per unit cost. However, the increased value created by the company's sustainable and social contributions will allow a corresponding increase in price that we think will be accepted by the customers. We believe that this increase in price will allow the company to maintain its current margins in the short run with the long-term benefits from sustainability likely increasing overall margins in the future.
A great way for the rolling homes to work their way towards that B Corp certification is to spread awareness about the company and their initiatives. So firstly, this would include investing a portion of profits into sustainable housing for homeless communities, like we had mentioned. This would be a great community involvement opportunity, as well as to stay in line with their new values that we've provided. And then from there, spread awareness of those projects through social media. Not only is this beneficial in securing a B Corp certification, but this could also even attract new customers or even potential future employees whose values align with those of the project. And then with this new online presence, the rolling homes could secure additional contracts working with municipalities and NGOs to help work their way to getting that B Corp certification.
So as Kate just mentioned, spreading awareness through social media is still a key part of the strategy because of the strong brand of the rolling homes. So the social media campaign will not nearly be in the same extent as the avoided social media focus strategy, but it will present a strong brand image to the customers. This campaign that we are imagining for the rolling homes is directly comparable with the IKEA tiny home project campaign. So the rolling homes should provide crisp and clear imagery regarding the insides and outsides of the homes, while updating their customers with all developments regarding a more ethical supply chain and becoming a social enterprise. Transparency is the key, as this is strongly tied in with the values of this business. To really implement these things, we have created an implementation timeline where we identified the following key actions: the upcoming investor conference, restructuring the supply chain, incorporating the waste audit, reinvesting in community programs, running the marketing campaign, and monitoring all of the outcomes of these key actions. The stars that you see on the slide represent the main KPIs for each point. So for the action number 1, the company will have to make a mention preparation for the conference and secure at least one venture capitalist investment. Secondly, it's important to end partnership with these unethical suppliers immediately, to research new suppliers and set up contractual partnerships to set the company up for the future. Then it will be important to secure that waste management partner and incorporate them in operations, as Cam already mentioned. Furthermore, the rolling homes needs to work together with NGOs, NPOs, and other organizations, as I already mentioned, on 1 or 2 community projects combating homelessness. Then furthermore, they have to ensure an efficient campaign by monitoring leads, clicks, and conversion rates, so usual marketing KPIs. And lastly, then when monitoring all of these outcomes after the prioritization year, they will need to evaluate the campsite proposal and to reinvest capital into social media engagement.
Even with a detailed implementation, obviously all solutions come with some risks. So here we've kind of identified our 4 main risks associated with our recommendation. So the first one being that the price jump is not accepted by customers. Mitigating this, it's just important to justify that the increase in prices is kind of running parallel with upkeeping ethical and sustainable standards, as well as transparency about the supply chain in campaigns on the website. And in comparison to other tiny house or van conversion companies, the rolling homes still offer a very competitive price. The second risk we've identified is that the new supply chain will still not uphold ethical standards. However, we feel that that's relatively improbable, considering the new supply chain management also includes checking up on the supply chain as a control mechanism to ensure that there is the upholding of the highest ethical standards. The third risk we've identified is a second rejected B Corp application. Obviously, this would be pretty major. However, during the process of restructuring towards a more sustainable way of operating, the executive team of the rolling homes needs to make sure that they are fulfilling the requirements for the B Corp certification continuously and making sure that the associated score is always above that required 80. And then the fourth risk we've identified is an unsustainable work ethic for the rolling homes. So basically for this, HR will just need to incorporate appropriate reward and wellness programs to ensure sustainable work practices internally. And the further utilization of technology like the project management program Asana, that's also currently being used, will be crucial to uphold the human advantage at rolling homes. Now to discuss the key outcomes. The first one being investment attractiveness. Obviously, with this new established vision, statement, and values that we've provided today, this will be incredibly attractive to investors, seeing that there is purpose and drive and a mission statement to this company, as well as socially conscious strategy for presentation and demonstrable commitment to values. We really want to circle this whole recommendation around values and keeping strong to them. Also, the established financial plan and a yearly impact report will be incredibly attractive to investors as well. The second one, obviously, being the sustainability benefits, the decreased emissions from the localized supply chain that we've changed, as well as more sustainable materials associated with both the van conversion and the local supply chain. Also, the improved waste management associated with the van conversion and heightened environmental awareness through the initiatives. Thirdly, community benefits. We're directly addressing homelessness crisis in this recommendation and providing employment for local communities now. And not only that, but we're also discouraging use of unfair labor practices through our recommendation. And finally, the scalability benefits. It leverages the core competency in public relations, and the straightforward and inexpensive scalability is what we really want to focus on in our recommendation. So based on the arguments we've presented, we believe that going into 2022, the Rolling Homes should focus their energy on obtaining that B Corp certification to ensure sustainable success in the future so that they can continue to leverage their human advantage and put social and environmental governance first. Thank you for your time, and we now open the floor to any questions.
All right, thank you, delegates. And judges, you may now begin to use the raise your hand function, and I will call on you, starting with Radi.
Hi, thank you so much for the presentation. I'm actually pretty proud of our, competitive advantage when it comes to cost, and I'm a little hesitant on losing it. So you suggested that we kind of rely on local suppliers, and I was wondering what recommendations would you have if, for sourcing international ethical suppliers, or should we just stick to local, or should we have mix of both, to gain competitive, cost advantage? I mean, there are some ethical international suppliers out there still offering us that cost advantage, and ethics is a universal concept.
Definitely. So I will take this question. We have considered the price jump in the price, and obviously that we want the price still to be competitive. So for now, we just want to focus on local suppliers because of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and supply chain fallouts just being a huge, huge risk to companies right now. So currently, it just makes more sense to focus on those local suppliers and build that ethical supply chain, and also get that expertise of how you can maintain the ethical supply chain, so that further in the future, maybe in a year or a year and a half, the Rolling Homes can actually go and research maybe foreign suppliers that have a more competitive price point, but they will go into those negotiations with a lot more expertise and a lot more knowledge about how do we upkeep the ethical standards, because that is really the key factor here to keep the labor forces ethical.
Next question will come from Nicole.
All right, great presentation, team. In your financial considerations, you had noted that there would be a 2% increase in employee productivity. Knowing that part of being a B Corp is that workforce and what the workforce is feeling, how are we making them more productive while maintaining the human advantage in our workforce? What can you tell me about that 2% increase?
Yeah, so I can speak to that. The increased productivity really comes from the heightened motivation that the employees will likely feel as a result of knowing that they're really part of this, not only talk the talk sort of company, but walk the walk in terms of actually benefiting the community, being sustainable, and really making a difference in the community. And that's really where that increased productivity comes from, knowing that they're making a difference and getting to see the benefits of that in person in their communities.
And if I may add to that point, also the implemented HR processes, so like the rewards programs and the wellness programs, to continuously maintain that work ethics like standards in the company itself, and to continuously monitor how employees are feeling even though the productivity increased.
Next question will come from Theo.
Hi, thanks for your presentation. I guess my question is similar to Nicole's, where have you given any thought into if we're adding any more employees? Because from my perspective, we have to now source ethically from our supply chain, which is a great initiative. However, it will take significant amount of time and effort to research these suppliers. And I'm concerned that simply, rewards from HR are great, but we also face a real possibility of burnout if we're also planning to grow as a business.
So I can speak to this question. There is definitely that possibility of the burnout, and we really want to avoid that in the company itself. But what we are really trying to be doing with the strategy is that we are upholding the standards in the company, not only with reward programs, but also maybe hiring on co-op students, for example. So especially in the social media side of things, there could be a co-op student or someone like a university student in that younger engagement to run those social media campaigns, because they bring a lot of expertise and new innovation into the company. But obviously balancing the workload over the already existing employees, and then making sure to strategize, do we have to hire on more employees or more executives to really uphold the workload? Because I completely agree with you. It's really important that the employees of the company are not burning out, and that it's a more wellness concentrated point of view.
All right, thank you, delegates. That's all the time we have for questions. So I now ask that our delegates and attendees can please exit the Zoom call, and thank you again, presenters, for that presentation.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank you
day.
so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.